in that ball game. We will preview that, and also plenty of news regarding the Saints and odds out or projected odds on who might be the starting quarterback. We'll get into all of it here today on Early Line.
Well, Musto, should be a good show. As you said, an offensive coordinator candidate that our audience has actually heard of. We have a weekend lineup for LSU baseball, which I know you're really excited about. And I got a little NBA futures, a little post-trade deadline championship odds at the end of the show. So lots to get into today.
Let's get right into it. Let's start quickly here. We'll do a little LSU baseball and then again get into some college basketball picks. Let's start with Tiger baseball. Jay Johnson today met with the media, of course, obviously before opening day, and in that media session announced the weekend rotation for opening weekend. Friday night, it will be Blake Money on the mound for LSU. Saturday, Mikhail Hilliard. Sunday to be determined. So a couple thoughts here. Obviously, I think going into this season, everybody assumed Devin Fontenot would be getting that Friday night start. I know I did. It was widely regarded that Devin Fontenot would get every opportunity to be a starter for LSU this year in his return. But Blake Money, man, we've been telling you a lot how strong he's come on this offseason. Here's your proof. Like, here it is. Proof is in the pudding. Blake Money's going to get the ball, toe the rubber on Friday night. He has transformed himself. Mario, I honestly thought somebody else was wearing number 44. Like I thought Blake Money changed his jersey number. I had to go look at the roster the first time I saw him.
Anti-Zion.
Yeah, anti-Zion, and he just, I mean, he looks incredible, but even with slimming down, all it's really done is get him in better shape. Maybe that's what's allowed him to extend a little bit more. His stuff hasn't suffered at all. It's gotten better. The fastball's still in the low to mid 90s, and the curveball even has a little bit more depth to it so far through the offseason. So, mentioned how strong he's come on. Again, here's your proof. It'll be Blake Money. We'll see if he can hold that role throughout, but he's getting first crack at it, and we all know that's the question mark when it comes to LSU baseball this year is front of the rotation guys and really the pitching staff as a whole.
Yeah, great opportunity for B Money right off the bat. Should be a really good atmosphere on Friday night against Maine, and now we know that he will be on the bump to start the game.
And then Mikhail Hilliard will be on Saturday, and I love this. I love having Mikhail Hilliard in the weekend rotation. It's where he fits best. He's operates best as a starter. You don't get nearly the production out of him when he comes from the bullpen, and Hilliard has shown you now on two separate occasions. The stuff doesn't jump off the page, right? It's going to be an 88-mile-per-hour cutter, a nasty, filthy 12-6 curveball, but that's the deal. Nothing stays straight. He's hard to barrel up. This is two different occasions, two different seasons. He shut down SEC lineups as a true freshman and did it again at the end of last year. It's not a matter of can guys figure out Mikhail Hilliard because he's not hard to figure out. You know what he's going to throw. It's does he have his stuff? And if he has his stuff, he's going to keep even the best lineup in fits because you can't square him up. Nothing stays straight. So I love having him there. I originally thought he'd probably be on Sunday, and maybe he ends up in that role. But for me, Mikhail Hilliard just has a spot in this rotation. If he's out there producing, you put him there and you leave him there. Sunday is interesting. And it's to be determined. And look, let's be honest, this backs up everything that Coach Jay has been saying since the fall, is that 1 week's rotation might not resemble the next. It will take multiple guys to get it done, maybe 4 or 5 guys per game, et cetera, et cetera. The good news is LSU has plenty of options when it comes to this. You could see Ty Floyd. You could see Devin Fontenot. You could see Javen Coleman. Could you maybe even see Riley Cooper? That is something they transfer from Arizona. That is somebody they have extended in the fall and preseason scrimmages, as is Floyd, Fontenot, and Coleman. So I think Ty Floyd, a lot of people look at him as somebody who absolutely can and should be a starter. I'm still a little hesitant on the off speed if it's come along as consistently. He's definitely been throwing it a lot, and it has gotten better, but is the consistency there? I would not be surprised at all if he gets that opportunity on Sunday. Really, none of those 4 guys I mentioned would surprise me. Devin Fontenot, again, everyone thought he'd get every opportunity to start. Most people thought that'd be on Friday night. It won't be. Javen Coleman was the guy that everyone looks at last year against Louisiana Tech in his first appearance when he goes long relief. Who can forget the performance in Eugene? Everybody looked at him multiple times and said, that guy's going to be a starting pitcher before his career is over at LSU. But kind of the opposite of Mikhail Hilliard. Coleman was given a couple opportunities last season in the midweek to start. It did not go great. He made it out of the first inning once in 2 or 3 starts. The control was the issue. A lot of walks got him into a lot of trouble. And Riley Cooper, he could fit in this role because if you're going to start him, just from what I've seen so far through fall and spring, it's going to be in more of an opener type role, not necessarily a starter. He's not going to go 2-3 trips through the lineup. That second trip through the lineup has really kind of given him some issues in the action I've seen of him. But for one trip through, he's been really good. So maybe you see him in potentially an opener role on a Sunday to start things out, get you through 3 innings, and depending on what you have left from your bullpen, you piece it together after that. LSU should beat Maine fairly handily. They should. So maybe you don't learn too much about the rotation this weekend or going forward. When you will is when you go to Houston and you have to face the number 1 team in the country in Texas, and you'll bookend that with games against Oklahoma and Baylor. So that's really when LSU will get their first test. It could look great this weekend on the mound, and who knows, but you're going to need a larger sample size from what it is, but I'm fired up to see Blake Money get the start.
Yeah, and I'm sure all these guys are really fired up just to get the season started. I mean, the narrative going into the baseball season is that LSU is going to be really good hitting the ball. Their offense is going to be good. Do they have enough pitching? And as far as the first 2 guys that we talked about that we know are in the rotation, Hilliard and B Money, it's a lot of opportunity for both of those guys, and hopefully they're able to seize it from the onset and throughout the course of the season. As far as the rest, it will be some trial and error, as you said, but we've already seen some good things out of Coleman and out of Fontenot, like you were talking about, and at the very least, you have a lot of options. Let's see how good those options look a little further down the road.
And we will get our first look at them on Friday. Reminder, all of our shows, Off the Bench, Hunting Hill, Early Line, AFR will all be live from walk-ons on this Friday, February 18th, opening day. So come out, say hi, watch the shows, let's talk some baseball, and get the Jay Johnson era kicked off, man. It's gonna be an awesome weekend out at Alec Box Stadium. I'm hoping, Mario, it'll be a little bit more of an awesome night for me when it comes to college basketball betting. It took it on the chin a little bit last night. Providence Friars didn't get it done for me.
You felt good about that one.
I did feel really good about that one. And look, Villanova just absolutely filled it up last night. I mean, their 3-point shooting was on fire. They don't miss free throws. They're one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. So once it was close down the stretch, it was like, okay, this is not a good spot because you're going to end up having to foul them, and they're not going to miss the free throws. They're going to end up covering. It got to that, but they kind of went up 5 even before it got to that and put you in that position. But Gillespie, their point guard, is a hell of a player. He shoots 91% from the free throw line, by the way.
Wow.
91. That's insane.
Yeah, for a college player especially.
For anybody. Yeah. That's 91%. That's wild. I mean, that's wild. So we're back for more, though, tonight because we're a glutton for punishment. Jake, the bed music. Did you have the bed music? Let's go ahead and get the bed music rolling here, and we're going to start in Piscataway, New Jersey. Number 12, Illinois. They are visiting the Rutgers Scarlets Knights. This is a 6 p.m. tip-off. Mario, Rutgers has been America's upset darling this year. They beat then number 1 Purdue in their second Big Ten game of the season and are currently riding a 3-game winning streak with all 3 wins coming over ranked opponents, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. Now here comes the 12th ranked Illini. 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 road games as a favorite is Illinois. Rutgers, pretty good at home to counter that. 8-3 against the spread, 5-0 as a home dog this season. You might ask, what's led to this hot streak for the Scarlet Knights? Offense. That's what. They've been solid on defense all season, but in the month of February, Mario, they're averaging 75 points per game, up from their season average of just over 68, and they finally start to see the 3-point shot fall, shooting a cool 55% overall from the floor during the 3-game winning streak. Illinois has a definite advantage on the boards, especially with Kofi Coburn, and should win that battle. This is the second meeting between the two teams this season. They met in the Big Ten opener, and Illinois won that by 35.
Jeez.
But as we've detailed here, this is a much different Rutgers team than game number 1 in Big Ten play. Also, a little bit of a rule that I have. I try to stay away from betting the team who won the first meeting. And I love betting a winning streak.
There you go.
Rutgers, they may not win, but they've been tough at home. They're stingy on defense, and newfound glory on offense should keep them in this game. Give me the Rutgers Scarlet Knights plus the 3.5 tonight at home versus Illinois.
Yeah, dude, looks like a great pick. 3-game win streak against MSU, Ohio State, Wisconsin. That's no joke. Rutgers has been really scrappy. A little surprised he didn't take him on the money line.
Well, okay, why is because, man, your luck has to run out eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Rutgers is really a great team. I think they're playing better. I think they can compete, and at home they're tough. So I'll take them on the spread, and if they win, they win. And, who knows? Maybe it's a close game. I might live bet the money line a little bit later on tonight.
Wonder if Greg Schiano will be at the game.
Man, hopefully. Hopefully. That'd be great. All right. I know I just talked about not liking to bet on a team who won the first meeting, but I'm going to break my own rule here. Certain circumstances call for it. Number 7, Baylor. They're visiting number 11, Texas Tech. The Red Raiders are 2-point favorites. This is an 8 p.m. tip-off. Texas Tech beat Baylor in the first meeting, 65-62. That was on the road in Waco. Now they get them at home, where the Red Raiders have won 18 straight games dating back to last season. That includes a 15-0 mark this year. 2 really solid defensive teams, Mario. Tech loves to control the pace of the game, and they're especially good at doing that on their home floor. Baylor is without their leading rebounder, likely for the rest of the season. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the kid's name because I'll butcher it. Texas Tech, they held up fairly well on the glass in the first meeting and should be more than capable this time around with the Bears being shorthanded inside. A bigger key for me than rebounding will be Texas Tech taking care of the ball. Baylor forces turnovers with the best of them. Texas Tech managed to keep turnovers in check in the first meeting. I expect them to do that again. I'll take Texas Tech at home, minus the 2 tonight. Break my own rule. Bonus play here, the under in Baylor, Texas Tech. 136.5 is where it's set, the total. Texas Tech has allowed 70 points at home just once this season. Again, the first meeting, 65-62. This one could very well be in the 60s as well. But, here's the but. I'm not overly confident on this because it is the second meeting, and perhaps you do see higher scoring after seeing this team for a second time. So maybe a small play on the under. But I do like Texas Tech minus the 2 and a Rutgers plus the 3.5 tonight in college basketball. Got to bounce back, Mario. Took it on the chin last night. I wasn't a fan of it.
Yeah, gotta bounce back, man. Catch an L last night, tonight you bounce back. Quote my boy Big Sean. And you got me sold just off the home mark this year, man. 15-0 this season, 18 in a row dating back to last year. Texas Tech seems like an awesome basketball atmosphere. Like we talked about when they hosted Texas, Chris Beard came back to Lubbock. They were really mad. That's somewhere that's on my college basketball bucket list.
And they, look, man, they will be fired up in Lubbock again tonight with a top 10 team coming in. And Baylor beat Texas Tech twice last season. Trying to get some revenge on that. Sweep them yourself here in 21-22. So we'll see. We'll see if we can't get that going tonight. Gotta get back on the win. Gotta get back on the winning ways when it comes to college basketball.
I respect the persistence move. So
that's
let's
the plan. Hey, man, look, when you fall off the horse, you get back on, Mario. Or fall off a bike, whatever the saying is. You get back on. Same thing. Same premise. That'll wrap up the first segment here. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. The New Orleans Saints, they've interviewed another candidate for offensive coordinator, and we have projected odds on who will take the first snap under center in the Dennis Allen era. That's on the other side. Early line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Mario and Musso, the early line. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Auctioner Health.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance, with the latest in office technology, from desktop to production.
Jimmy Ott for Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers, Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. from City Slice Pints and Pizza near campus, just outside the north gates of LSU. Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The New Orleans Saints continue their search for their next offensive coordinator. Today they interviewed Jay Gruden. Of course, Jay Gruden, the younger brother of former NFL head coach John Gruden, an offensive assistant on his Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 2002 to 2008. They won the Super Bowl during that time back in 2002. He was fired back in 2008 along with the rest of his older brother's staff. Then he was the offensive coordinator for the Bengals from 2011 to 2013. He parlayed that into his first head coaching job in the NFL with the then Washington Redskins. Got off to a really good start in Washington. Musa, in his second season, made the postseason, but that was his only trip to the playoffs with the Redskins. He got fired 5 to the 2019 season. A few years later, final record of 35, 49, and 1. Then he worked under Doug Marrone, the new Saints offensive line coach, for 1 year as the Jaguars offensive coordinator, was fired at the end of the 2020 season. So somebody with a little bit more experience, with a little bit more quote-unquote name recognition compared to the other guys we've been talking about that have interviewed for this job.
And obvious experience calling plays at the NFL level. Not that, I mean, that has to be a requirement, obviously, but when you consider kind of what Dennis Allen is looking for, you would think that would be in the qualification, but it hadn't been in the first 2 interviews. Jay Gruden's a good offensive mind, man. Look, maybe it didn't work out great as a head coach for him, but there's a difference. I mean, there's a difference, obviously, in being the head coach and the offensive coordinator. It's somebody who has plenty of experience, would fit pretty well with the culture in New Orleans. That's obviously going to be a huge fit. What's interesting to me, though, is, do you think that there's any – we've talked a lot about this when it comes to the offensive coordinator, Mario, that maybe it's not like the head coaching search or the defensive coordinator search. But maybe have we just shut the door on that too soon? Is it maybe a little bit more similar than we're giving credit for? Is there a potential shot where if no one wows them, they could convince Pete Carmichael to stay in that role at least one more year until maybe somebody else comes available? I know there's all the talk when it comes to Pete Carmichael Jr. has been he wants a lesser role. He's stepping away, like stepping back. He won't be the offensive coordinator. But if no one wows them, when you listen to what Dennis Allen has said about having so many good pieces in place on the staff and maybe there doesn't need to be a lot of change, is that an outside option for them maybe that they're keeping in their back pocket?
Oh, I would think so. I wouldn't rule it out the realm of possibility. I mean, Pete Carmichael doesn't want to be the OC, but if the Saints were in a situation where they felt that that was their best option, he doesn't really hold any leverage there, right? You need to be the OC or you're out of a job completely 100%. So that's definitely a possibility as well, but I'm definitely infatuated a little bit with Jay Gruden. And speaking of things that don't get enough attention, I don't think the coaching tree of Jay Gruden gets enough attention, because we talk a lot about the Bill Belichick tree, right? Even the Sean McVay tree now. The guys that have worked under him are getting jobs. Zach Taylor just went to the Super Bowl. But how about the Jay Gruden coaching tree? Look at this picture. My man had Kyle Shanahan working for him. He had Sean McVay working for him as assistants. Not even pictured Matt LaFleur, the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, but nobody really cares about him. These two guys, arguably the two hottest young coaches in the NFL right now. Sean McVay just won the Super Bowl. He's doing so well, some people think he's going to retire because he already capped out. And then the work that Shanahan has done in San Francisco with a banged-up Jimmy G almost getting to the Super Bowl is also unbelievable. So you got to give some props to the Jay Gruden coaching tree.
I think you give a lot of props to the Jay Gruden coaching tree. Both those guys you just had up in there in that picture. McVay, you said, won the Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan coached in one.
Yeah.
I mean, he ended up a great job with Jimmy G, but he took him to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there you go. Look.
Almost took him a second time.
And those guys, good offensive minds, come from Jay Gruden. Man, look, he's got a good offensive mind. He's got the experience calling plays. We'll see if he wowed him in the interview and if that ends up being the guy.
Speaking of Jimmy G, we'll likely have to talk about him in a second because Musso found these projected odds for the next starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. And these are just projected odds. This isn't anything that you could bet on at the moment, but certainly down the road, this might be something you could throw a little bit of money on. And on the surface, it's a little interesting. Jameis Winston, the betting favorite, then Taysom Hill right behind at plus 50, which to me is interesting. I think Taysom Hill's future is completely up in the air right now with Dennis Allen taking over. And then you get into the funner names as you go down the list, Musso.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, it's Jameis and Taysom, as you said, the two favorites there. Jimmy Garoppolo and Blake Bortles at plus 800, both of them. And then you get into the draftable players: Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett. Matt Corral's at plus 900, Kenny Pickett at plus 1200. What's interesting, what stood out to me, obviously people are thinking that Jameis and Taysom are the leaders in the clubhouse, and that makes sense. What else stood out to me was Corral and Pickett being high on that list. If the Saints are going to draft a quarterback, it's probably going to be one of those two guys. That's been who you've seen mocked to the Saints most. I don't think the Saints are going to draft a quarterback, but you continue to see mocks have that. So someone's hearing something when they're going to do that. And look, if Vegas is going to project odds like this before they're actually available, and those are the two names when it comes to draftable quarterbacks, well, sure. Also notable, there's four quarterbacks with NFL experience already in front of them. One of them, Blake Bortles, hadn't played in a game.
That's so random.
Right.
Like, I agree with what you're saying about Corral and Pickett, but seeing Bortles ahead of them tied with Jimmy G really threw me off.
But so also does that lend to what I'm saying here, that the Saints probably aren't going to draft a quarterback. I mean, at least Las Vegas maybe doesn't think so. The other thing that stands out is free agent. That ain't happening, according to these odds. Vegas does not put a lot of stock into that. Aaron Rodgers plus 5,000. Deshaun Watson plus 5,000. Russell Wilson, who said he would accept a trade to New Orleans, is not listed in these projected odds. So if you're looking at quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, obviously it's going to be Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill or a surprise. It is kind of what these projected odds tell me. And look, I think Jameis is the way to go. We've had a lot of conversations about it, and what do the Saints ultimately do with him? What's the market like for him? We don't think Jameis is going to take another prove-it deal. You're probably going to have to give him 2-3 years. What would the money be like on that? The Saints are also going to be some $76 million over the cap. So quarterback is just continues to be interesting, but at least in Vegas's mind, from projected odds here, legal odds should be available soon on betting on who's going to be the next Saints quarterback. Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, and it's kind of everybody else, but not a free agent.
Curious to see where Ian Book kind of fits into all of this. I mean, they liked him coming out of Notre Dame. That was Sean Payton, and this was a team that was in win-now mode last year. They used the 4th-round pick to draft Ian Book. That was a pick you could have used on an offensive lineman or a cornerback or somebody who could have maybe helped you make a playoff run or at least make the playoffs, which the Saints did not do. And they've been talking to him lately in the media, and he said loud and clear, I want to at least compete for that starting quarterback job. And I'm curious to see how far along Ian Book is after a full season in the NFL and even an impromptu start against the Miami Dolphins. So he's going to be a factor in all this as well.
Interesting. Ian Book is down there in that same jumble with Corral, Pickett, Trevor Siemian, where you find them in those odds. How about Teddy Bridgewater there at plus 1,800?
Teddy Bridgewater, that is interesting.
When we were filling in for Matt last week, we had Mike Triplett on AFR, and he mentioned Teddy Bridgewater as a possible candidate for this.
Yeah, if it's a team that's going to try to win games with field position, with defense, kind of like the Denver Broncos were this year with Teddy Bridgewater, fall just short of the postseason, you would think that he's serviceable. But I think Saints fans are kind of capped out with Teddy Bridgewater. He's a serviceable quarterback. You know he'd be a good bridge. If you have no better alternative, then yeah, roll with it. But if you can get Jameis Winston back on a reasonable contract, we talked about kind of the complications of years and dollar amounts after the season that he had and the injury that he had. But if you're making me choose between Teddy and Jameis Winston, I'm still going with Jameis Winston just because of the potential. I think
Jameis Winston is probably the play. It's just can you get it to work out? I mean, 5-2 as a starter last year before the injury. I think there will be suitors. I don't think the market is going to be, popping for Jameis Winston. He's coming off the injury. You've seen him play 11 games in New Orleans and start 7 of them. It's just the sample size isn't still big. Did you see strides? Sure. But I would think that the Saints, if they can get the money right, have the inside track on Jameis Winston.
I would think so, too. It's going to be really interesting with him because obviously he's looking for the best offer, but he's also looking for the best situation. And despite the fact that Sean Payton left, I think he still feels really strongly about the Saints. I think he's probably really hungry to finally play with Michael Thomas. He's never gotten that opportunity, and the vibes are really good on Twitter right now. You and I were texting each other last night about Mike Thomas giving some friendly advice to Deontay Harris about a young female that apparently he was afraid to text. So the vibes are good in the Saints locker room, and Jameis Winston, despite the fact that he didn't play all year, was a part of that. So I'm curious to see if he would leave any money on the table to get a crack of playing with Michael Thomas, potentially with Alvin Kamara, and with that Saints defense, because before he got hurt, things were going really well for Jameis.
They were. So, I mean, we'll see. But again, and then there's the how much of that can Jameis stay on that same trajectory without Sean Payton? That'll be an interesting question too. But I think you've seen enough. I'm sorry. Why is Drew Brees trending on Twitter right now in association with the New Orleans Saints?
I'm not sure, but we know he is not coming back.
So is Jameis Winston. Both of them are trending. I'm sorry. I got sidetracked. I looked down at my laptop and saw that, and I was just like, oh, okay.
All good, man.
As soon as we're talking quarterback, Drew Brees' name just pops up. I'm with you. Drew Brees isn't coming back. But it is interesting. Yeah, Jameis Winston. I don't remember what I was saying anymore. That completely threw me for a loop.
Well, we'll see if we can do some research here during the break, see what's up with Jameis Winston and with Drew Brees. We're going to have a lot of Saints news in the next couple of weeks with the start of free agency, with the Saints rounding out their coaching staff. There's going to be a lot going on in NFL and Saints in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned. For now, we'll come back, talk a little bit of LSU basketball. The Tigers a sizable favorite at home tonight against the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll discuss the line, the over-under, give our thoughts on the game. All that coming up next here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Lusso. 104.5 ESPN. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. The extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz vans.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Auctioner Health.
At All Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks.
On Wednesdays, off the bench, we boot up as Will Wade and the boys take on the Bulldogs in the PMAC. Plus, how did the Pellies fare against John Morant and the Grizz? And a brand new Would You Rather Wednesday, off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Will Wade and the LSU men's basketball team, they're back on the floor tonight in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center Dale Brown Court. They welcome in the worst team in the Southeastern Conference, the Georgia Bulldogs, who bring a 1-11 conference record into this game. LSU a 16.5 point favorite over the Georgia Bulldogs. The total in this game set at 146. Man, Tom Crean's had a rough go of it so far in Athens. And he really didn't get help this year when his team entered the transfer portal, whether it be Xavier Wheeler, who's now Fagan, who's now at Ole Miss, and others. They lost their top three players off of their team last year. A team that gave LSU problems, mind you, scored 91 and 92 against LSU in 2 games. It was a split between the Bulldogs and the Tigers. So LSU, they'll absolutely have to play a little bit better defensively against Georgia this time. But that should not be a problem. LSU's a much different team defensively this year. And as we just dialed through, Georgia lost its top 3 players from last year's team to the transfer portal.
Man, that's a big number, but given the context, you can understand LSU playing a lot better now on the winning streak after they lost 6 out of the last 7 games before that, and Georgia, straight up, not a very good team. Have lost their last 5 games, 13 out of their last 14. They have played a couple of good teams pretty close. They beat Alabama. That's their only win in the SEC, and they lost to 2 by Auburn. They also played Florida close recently. On the LSU side, I think this is a must-win. If you're one of the fans that think they can still crack the top 4, regardless of what you think, there's still a lot of opportunity left on the SEC schedule before you get to the tournament in terms of seeding and in terms of just building momentum for a team that, like I said, is finally healthy and was playing terribly not that long ago. So this is one that LSU has to get. That's a really big number. I would stay away, but I'm confident LSU will take care of business tonight against an inferior Georgia team. We thought the same thing against Ole Miss not that long ago, also at home, but Georgia kind of on a whole nother level in the cellar of the Southeastern Conference.
It's kind of the whole thing with LSU, though, right? They can win any game left on their schedule. They can also lose any game left on their schedule. They showed you that against Ole Miss, against Vanderbilt. They showed you that against Kentucky, against Tennessee with those wins. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm not touching LSU minus 16 and a half of the 10-foot pole. They just have not closed out games well enough. They haven't put together 2 solid halves again yet since they've been getting healthier. Now, this is the 3rd game back with X kind of close to full strength. Maybe they put together those 2 halves tonight. I'm just staying away from that. The question I have, though, for the audience is, will you? And that's our Citizens Bank poll question of the day. So get over to 1045 ESPN Twitter account and vote on that. Will LSU cover the 16 and a half against Georgia tonight in the PMAC? Again, I'll stay away from that. The total in this game is just wildly high. Yeah. 146. I know LSU went on that string of 5 straight overs, but they just failed to cover or go over 136. I'm leaning hard under when it comes to LSU Georgia tonight.
Just looking on both sides recently, the trends, I guess I can understand this number because LSU, their output all season hasn't been really good, but in 6 out of the last 8 games, they've at least scored 67 or more. Has LSU. And then for Georgia, they've hit 68 or more in 5 out of their last 6. They only won 1 of those games, but they're kind of doing their part as far as the total. I'm with you. I think LSU is going to kind of want to slow down the pace of this game, especially when it becomes a blowout if they achieve their goals and blow Georgia out towards the second half. But I'm a little more bullish on the over, I think, than you are.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I don't know. But I will say this. I'm staying away from the spread. LSU is 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 games.
I agree with you, but I think kind of the path to LSU covering is something that you touched on there. Xavier Pinson and kind of the progression of his play. He looks like he's close to 100% finally. He came back at first, didn't look really good. He had the big brace. You could tell he was really hampered, but like you mentioned, in the last 2 games, both the wins for LSU, you see his minutes going up and you see his point total going up. Against TCU, first game back, he only played 7 minutes. Then he only played 16 minutes in the game against Ole Miss. Then the first win of this win streak against A&M, 25 minutes. He had 11 points on 4 for 7 shooting. And then against Mississippi State, he played 34 minutes, which is a really good sign. He had 12 points, shot 4 for 11 from the field, which not a really good percentage there, but he's moving around really well. And defensively, I think he's making a really big impact move. So not just in LSU's half-court defense, but also pushing the pace, making some outlet passes that nobody else on the team is capable of making. So Xavier Pinson, you see the progression in his play, and if you see that continue against Georgia, then maybe LSU can hit this massive number.
And what I love most of all, which was a sign of progression, is he didn't have that big bulky brace on in the last game.
Yes.
It was a smaller, almost resembled a sleeve type brace. So what are we looking for tonight, mainly from LSU? Because look, Georgia, they're not very good. Now, I will say this. I don't think this is a game where you just can roll the ball out there and go through the motions, because they've proven that if you don't come with your best stuff, like Alabama did in that game, they can beat you. The SEC is deep. But if LSU goes out there and plays their game, they're going to beat the Georgia Bulldogs and should do it handily. So that gets to what I want to see. I want to see LSU close the game out better. I want to see them have 2 complete halves. We've talked about it a lot here, Mario. The quote from Will Wade from earlier in the season where he said, with how we defend, we just need 2 good runs a half. LSU got a great run against Mississippi State in the first half. Not so much in the second. Same thing against Texas A&M. LSU got a great run in the first half, had a big lead. Not so much, again, in the second half. So can they close out that second half better, or get off to a better start in the second half, I should say? I guess LSU has kind of closed the game out well. But if you get the big lead on Georgia, if you're up 15, if you're up 20 at half, can you keep them at arm's length this time, or will you let them back in the game? Can you have those two great runs? That's first and foremost what I want to see from LSU tonight, because earlier in the year, they were having that.
Yeah, and to me, it's the start of the game, because I credit Mississippi State a little bit in the last game. LSU started the game really good, and the second half, it got a little chippy there. Mississippi State ended up taking a 3-point lead, but I think Mississippi State's just a good team. A lot of teams in this conference aren't going to lay down and die. You're not just going to run them over. Georgia, however, if you get off to a good start, you might be able to just kind of coast in the second half. So I think it'll be less important for LSU to kind of finish strong. They still will have to, but for me, it's imperative that they start strong against this Georgia team. And hopefully we keep seeing some of the good that we've been seeing. Eric Gaines, I think, has grown a lot in the absence of Xavier Pinson. And now with him back, he's made better. I think Eason is made better. And Darius Days hasn't been playing bad this season, but we touched on it a little bit yesterday. He's been kind of slumping when it comes to shooting. He has a career high in points per game right now, over 13 points per contest, but he's shooting 41% from the field. That's a career low, and his previous career low was 48% back in his sophomore year. He's also shooting under 70% from the free throw line as Darius Days. Not very good. He's shooting under 70% for the first time in his career, and he hasn't been bad. Like I said, he made some winning plays, but he's been a little too streaky, and I think LSU is going to need a little bit more from him offensively. He's going to need to be more consistent, and I think he is capable of being consistent. We saw it towards the end of last season and into the SEC tournament, and you know LSU is a much, much better team when Darius Days is on, and I think he's capable of playing better than we've seen him been playing.
It's so crazy with Days. He is the definition of someone who needs to see it go in early. If he makes his first couple of shots, he's in for a really good night. If he doesn't, it's hard. It seems like it's just hard for him to shoot through it and find it. He might knock down a clutch shot here or there towards the end of the game, but ultimately, if he doesn't get off to that good start, you're probably going to end up with that 3 for 11 or whatnot night. But if his first couple go in, man, it's off and running, and he's going to drop 20 on you potentially.
And I respect that he can have these bad games and still make big shots. Like against Kentucky, he played terrible, shot the ball really bad, but he made a big shot at the end for LSU to take the lead. Against Mississippi State, when they were making a run towards the end, LSU was up by 6 with about 90 seconds left, and he was like 1 for 10 at the time, and he still knocks down a big 3 at the end. Like I said, winning plays, but just want to see him shoot at a better clip, and maybe Will Wade and the staff need to do a better job of kind of putting him in his spots, letting him succeed a little bit more offensively. And like I said, I think the return of Xavier Pinson will go a long way in doing that. But a big key for the LSU basketball team, at least the way I look at it, is improved play from Darius Days on offense. I think he's capable of it.
LSU and Georgia tonight from the PMAC. Tigers a 16.5 point favorite. Total set at 146. I'm on the under, staying away from that spread. Mario staying away from the spread. And you said leaning over.
I like the over, yeah.
Like the
I'm
over
going over
tonight. Likes the over tonight. We'll recap the game for you tomorrow. LSU needs it, man. This could be this is a quad 4 game. You don't see many quad 4 teams in the Southeastern Conference. Normally it just kind of stops at quad 3. Georgia's a quad 4 game. Definitely need to protect home court tonight. This could be win number 19 for LSU and get them over 500 in Southeastern Conference play for the first time since the loss to Arkansas when they sat at 3-2 headed into the 2 road games at Alabama and at Tennessee. So a lot on the line for LSU. They'll tip it off at 6 p.m. tonight. You can hear the game on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. John Brady and the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, will be on the call.
Love those guys.
Grab our final break of the show. Come back and close it out. Post-trade deadline of the NBA, heading to the All-Star break. We got some futures to talk about, and the Pels took it on the chin a little bit to the Grizzlies. We'll close out the show next with some NBA on Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors.
Tuesday's Hunt and Hill. Jeremy is back from Cincinnati. We'll get stories from Super Bowl Sunday, and we are inching towards baseball at the box. Hunt and Hill, noon to 2 weekdays on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up the show, Wednesday edition of Early Line, as we update today's Citizens Bank poll of the day. And the question posed to the audience was, will LSU basketball, the men's team, cover the 16.5-point spread against Georgia? 87.9% of the audience says no, the Bulldogs will cover. 12% of the audience says yes, they will. I'm confident LSU is going to cover now.
Those homers. That 12% homers.
Yeah, I'm confident LSU's playing a lot better.
They are.
But the way that this season is gone, and that's just a big number. I got respect for Georgia. Maybe it's because their football team won the national championship, and that has absolutely nothing to do with this sport, but that's pretty much where I'm at. Musso, I wanted to talk some NBA here, give out a futures pick. But before I do, did you see the images at the Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl championship parade?
I did.
So how do you feel that the Saints had more people at a parade that was protesting a bad call from the officials than the Rams had at a parade celebrating a Super Bowl championship? Because that happened today.
I am not surprised in the least.
We got this video, Taylor. I mean, Barstool described it saying that the Rams parade is going to get out of hand.
I mean,
look at this scene. You're going to bump into someone.
That's
Jesus, man. That's pathetic.
You have more people in Louisiana go to the Mardi Gras parade at the preschool that the preschool puts on.
Yeah.
You have more people show up to that in this state than the Rams had show up to their Super Bowl parade.
The Cub Scouts parade.
The Cub Scouts. Yeah, exactly. Like the Cub Scouts Mardi Gras parade or something like that. More people show up to that in this state than showed up to a Super Bowl parade in Los Angeles, California.
Great time. Shout out to Matt Stafford's wife. Looks like she's having a really good time at the party. And Tom Brady had some advice for Matthew Stafford on Twitter saying take a water in between a couple of drinks. It'll be good advice. It'll get you right. Trust me. He should probably take that advice from Tom Brady.
Yeah, the Staffords are living their best life. Matthew Stafford with a cigar and a beer, and Kelly Stafford was double fisting beers. It's just, yeah, good for them, man. That's awesome. They went through a lot in Detroit to get to that point.
Nobody asked him about the Hall of Fame. Let that man have fun, at least for today.
Yes.
The Pelicans lost last night, Musso. As you said, we took it on the chin. We didn't have the money line, but we did have the Pels and the points. CJ McCollum was really good, 30 points on 12 for 25 shooting. Didn't even have to shoot a 3 to get to 30 points, but the Pelicans, unfortunately, now 1-3 in the CJ McCollum era. One more game before the All-Star break on Thursday against the Fighting Jake Parkers and the Dallas Mavericks.
Here we go. They need it.
Yes.
They need it, man. Let's see. They're still in that 11.
One game out.
They're still in the 11th spot right now.
Yeah, behind Portland. And Josh Hart and the boys are playing pretty good.
Yeah, they need to chill.
Yeah, I wouldn't totally discount the Portland Trailblazers. And this is the part where we stop talking about the Pelicans because we're about to get into some NBA championship odds, at least post-trade deadline. The Warriors, the betting favorite, tied with the Phoenix Suns at plus 450, followed by the Nets and the Bucks, who are both tied at plus 550 odds for the next best odds. Then you got the Sixers, the Heat, the Jazz, the Bulls, the Grizzlies, the Nuggets, and the Lakers. The Sixers odds got a lot shorter after the trade. They got James Harden from the Brooklyn Nets. Not really super passionate about any of these, honestly, Musso. But when I look at the odds to win the Eastern Conference, the Bucks right now, Milwaukee betting favorite at plus 250, followed by the Nets and the 76ers. The Nets are at plus 280. The Sixers are at plus 300. They're both ahead of the Miami Heat, which I don't think should be the case. The Heat have already been to the finals with this core. They add Kyle Lowry this offseason. Jimmy Butler, really good leader. His only priority is to win games. It's been an awesome marriage so far with him, Eric Spoelstra, Pat Riley. And the Heat right now, by the way, lead the Eastern Conference. A lot of people talk about this team and kind of dismiss that fact. 37-21, really good team chemistry. Going to be better than the Sixers and the Nets. The Bulls, interesting too at plus 1,200. Not quite ready to pull the trigger yet, but I really do like the Miami Heat to win the Eastern Conference at plus 550.
Kind of with you, man. Look, it didn't go well for them last night against the Mavs. They dropped that game at home. Also missed on our overplay, but, again, get back on the horse. Eric Spoelstra, I just have the utmost respect for that man as an NBA coach. I think he's one of the best, if not the best, actual NBA coaches in the association. I don't hate the Heat. How about a long shot flyer on the Cavs though, right? Kevin Love, man, let's go.
Hell yeah, at least to win the East at plus 2,200. I'm with you, Musso. We'll talk some more NBA as the week goes. We'll get into a little bit of LSU baseball, getting closer and closer to opening day, and we'll continue to keep track of the New Orleans Saints and their search for their next offensive and defensive coordinators. Matt Moscona